President of the All-Party Beer Group, and it's great to follow my honourable friend, the member for Stoke-on-Trent North. I don't think she quite heard, but when she told us she was the MP for Titanic Brewery, I did shout, I suspect she's sunk a few of those. Well, I know I have, so...
In the first time you said it, come on, Nigel.
I know, well, on that, I have to say, as the Deputy Speaker knows, I live next door to a pub. I mean, you can't have much more commitment than that. I really feel at times I should pay my council tax to the pub rather than in the house I live next door. And indeed, when I celebrated my 50th birthday, it was in that pub, and I welcomed the Deputy Speaker and his wife, Catherine, to that pub. And only a few weeks ago, I was in Edinburgh at the Caledonian Brewery. An absolutely superb brewery, sank a few pints of theirs as we were celebrating Wales on their march to the Grand Slam. So all in all, it's great to have a debate in this place where we're all coming together, isn't it? Rather than knocking six bells out of one another. But the pub is such an important focal point for people. I live in a rural village, and it's great when people can get together, and so much that these pubs do on raising funds for numerous charities, or indeed sporting groups coming together, whether it's darts teams, football teams, whatever it happens to be. People coming together. Of course, I'll give way to my honourable friend. I know she's trying to get it.
I'm very grateful to him for giving way, and for him and his colleagues for actually getting this debate together. The debate is about pubs and about taxation and pubs and beer, but also there's a wider aspect of this, which is about the community hub. It's Mother's Day on Sunday. Our pubs will be full of people celebrating there. They will be dining and they will be drinking. They'll be having a great time. Would he agree with me that the loss of these pubs, it would be a real detriment to our society?
Absolutely. With Mother's Day coming up, and I hope many people will be taking their mums out and grandmothers out to pubs throughout their communities in order to thank them for being their mums. You don't need another excuse than that, do you? But it would be wonderful, and you hardly pass a pub these days without a board outside that it's informing people Mother's Day's coming up and to book early to avoid disappointment. And there are so many occasions when one can go to a pub and celebrate. In fact, any day with a Y in it will do, as far as I'm concerned, because I do believe that these pubs do bring people together. And the best way to sort of look at that is when you go to a village where the only pub in the village is closed. And it sort of tears the heart out of that village in many ways. And I know the pressures that these pubs are facing, whether it is the business rates, which are crippling on some of these small pubs, but also the environmental standards, which is quite right that they have to meet, an investment in new fridges or whatever it happens to be. And of course, these pubs in themselves are generating a lot of economic activity. So it's not just the sale of the beer in itself, which is a fantastic product, but it's other economic activity there too. And if it's a rural area, it's amazing that they're providing jobs in a rural area where these jobs can be really scarce, and particularly for younger people who are perhaps at college and are able to be flexible with their times. This is providing them with extra income, which they badly need. Of course, I'll give way to my honourable friend.
For giving way, and he's making a wonderful speech, as I know he would on this topic he knows only too well. Can I just ask him to consider those communities have gone even further and bought their pub? The community-owned pub is a really important part now of some villages, and congratulate the Plunkett Foundation, who do an awful lot of work to tell communities how they can buy their own pub.
Yes. At times, the pressure on some of these pubs when they close, for them to be turned into a block of flats or apartments, must be immense, because there's a lot of money in housing, as we know. And for the opportunity for them to be turned into a community pub where the community come together, raise some money, and then keep that pub going. There's countless examples of them throughout the country, which mean that the community still have a focal point to come together. So I hope more publicity will be given to those sorts of opportunities. I've got three breweries of different sizes in my patch. I've got InBev, where they make Stella Artois, but also Thwaites' brewery, which has moved from Blackburn into the Ribble Valley. Much smaller, but it's the famous brewery with the Shire horses. So there's a lot of corporate responsibility within that company. And then Holmes Mill with the great Bowland beers as well that are brewed in the heart of the Ribble Valley too. Yes, sir, go away, small honourable friend.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The honourable gentleman speaks with forked tongue. I've been to the pub beside his house with him twice, 3 times. It's a wonderful pub. But he always leaves behind, when we go next door, the lady who lives in his house. She's called Alexa. He's never taken her.
Well, all I can say to that interesting intervention was that 3 times he's been to my pub, and not once has he bought me a drink, and that's the sort of friends that I know. But it is a great. I'm not mentioning Alexa. It is a great pub. It was actually the Camera pub of the year in 2013. But I've got other pubs like the Free Masons in Wizzle and also the Parker's Arms in Newton, where, of course, a lot of them rely on food offering as well. One honourable lady mentioned the fact that she doesn't drink. Well, you don't have to drink alcohol to go into these places because there's so much more on offer. One mention has been mentioned of the taxation on beer, which is huge, £13 billion, it's massive, that's going in there. And when one considers that almost 1 million jobs are provided by that industry, that we need to look at ways of lowering that taxation. There's something wrong when taxation goes up, people drink less, and actually less money go to the revenue, inland revenue. So it's quite a commonsensical approach to lower taxation, increase the sales, and ensure that the HMRC get more money out of it. But on the ABVs, where the taxation is high and it only drops at 2.8%, I do believe that we need to look at ways of increasing the ABV to 3.5%, which will encourage more people to drink lower strength alcohol, have a great time, and at the same time incentivising people to do that. I think it is worrying when a lot of people drink high ABVs, 5% plus, whereby I don't think drinking a pint of beer is good for your health, but drinking too much of it with higher ABV just simply isn't. So all I can say, Madam Deputy Speaker, is that tomorrow night I was due to be in a pub celebrating a big event. That big event's not happening. It's being deferred. But all I can tell you is, on May the 22nd, I hope to be saying, cheers, Brexit.
Liz McInnes.